Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Outdoor Instructor Chat. This episode was with Matt from Kayak Essentials, and yeah, he's clearly got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and I felt I could just spoke to him for ages again. Things that we covered, we started talking about how failure is a part of the learning process, and how to kind of overcome that fear of failure as well, and methods which Matt might use to overcome that. We also talk about what makes a good coach as well, and I think it's just got some really interesting ideas about that, the stories behind it. Talk a little bit about Kayak Essentials and what the Kayak Essentials business has been doing during this time of lockdown, and some of the creative and really intelligent ways that they've been overcoming some of the challenges that's presented. And of course, the all-important quick-fire-ish questions round. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Make sure to check out the Kayak Essentials website as well. All the links are down below. Enjoy. All right, cue cheesy intro. Ready?
Go.
No, but it's happening. Hello and welcome to Instructor 101 for outdoor instructors that want to make an even bigger impact on those that they work with. Today I'm joined with Matt from Kayak Essentials. So hi Matt, cheers for joining us. Yeah, so do you want to take a moment just to introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you on the internet and social media?
The internet, yeah, sure. Yeah, all of it. Yeah, my name's Matt Giblin, and I run a business called Kayak Essentials with a partner, a guy called Nick Cunliffe, and we're predominantly a paddle sports company, I suppose. So we do kayaking, canoeing. We tend to do more sea kayaking than anything else. That's our big area. And it's Nick's specialism specifically as well. So we do a big push for that. But then we also operate stuff in the mountains, and we run some mountain training awards and things like that. So yeah, we're trying to do a wide variety of things really. If you want to come and find us, we have a website like most people do nowadays, and it's kayakessentials.co.uk. And then Instagram and Facebook. I can't believe I'm saying all these things like I'm down with the kids. But yeah, that's all Kayak Essentials. If you do a search for that, then you should be able to find all those things.
Yeah, nice one. And with all that stuff, like, we'll make sure that there's links in the description below. And if I can, not be fancy enough, I'll try and get some of them flashing across the screen as well. So yeah,
wow,
all good. Fancy. Yeah. So first of all, yeah, thanks, Matt. So like, I was looking through the interweb website of yours, and yeah, as I was saying to you, like in a bit like chat before we started recording, obviously you've got a lot of experience, and I made it no secret to you that I was like wow, there's what am I even going to talk about, because you have got such a wide breadth of experience, but also a lot of depth as well. So there's things like you've got lots of paddle sport qualifications, you're a British canoeing provider, mountain leader, rock climbing instructor. You got academic qualifications as well, all right? I think masters.
Yeah.
Award-winning filmmaker as well. So basically, my first question is there anything you can't do? That's where I'm at, because like there's a lot going on there, and got a lot of experience. So
yeah, there's probably loads of things I can't do. I just tend to not do them because I can't do them. No, I think I'd like to say I can turn my hand to most things, you know. But yeah, it's a good question. There's probably loads of stuff. There's probably a lot of people who are going, yeah, kayaking, you can't do that.
right.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. But no, I think I like the challenge of doing. So even if there's something that I'm not very good at, you know, I like having a go at things. I've always been quite a sporty person, and I did train as a PE teacher at one point, and I worked in secondary and in pupil referral units. So kind of interesting behavioral challenges in that sort of environment. And I think when it comes to sport and activity, I like to think I'll just have a go at anything. It doesn't really matter. I just kind of enjoy the doing and the learning process, I guess.
Yeah. Have you always found yourself being really interested, like, or in that sort of thing, or just been really ready to throw yourself into something?
I'd say I probably was always interested in doing new things and trying new things. I'm trying to think back to, my time as a child, and you know what? It came up the other day because we were talking. We're due to have a baby in August, and we were talking about kind of bringing up that's a challenge. There you go. I hope I can talk to you again in 5 years and go, yeah, I can tick dad as a good thing. I can do. But I was thinking back to when I was young and I was involved in scouts and things like that, and we'd go away on trips and camps, and I'd have a penknife, and I'd be at like 9 and I'd be whittling things and play, and that sort of thing doesn't happen anymore. But I think we were given a bit more freedom when I was a bit younger, so I guess that interest in exploring ideas and playing around with stuff probably stems being given a bit of freedom back when I was younger, probably.
Yeah. Oh, I really admire it. I think it's great. Like, you did a post earlier today about you're going out supping, stand-up paddling, and you're talking about skills transference, and one of the things that you touched on within that, you were talking about just not being afraid to fall in or make mistakes. And I just think that's like such a huge part of the learning process, just embracing, almost accepting that as well. I think would be a big part of that. I found myself recently because I've got interest in learning and coaching, like trying to build up my own coaching skills. So I've been trying to think about, how can I improve my own kayaking skills? Because I only took up kayaking in the last couple of years, really. But I've been doing canoeing a lot more. And yeah, I was like, one of the things that I came to the conclusion of was I just need to push myself and accept that I'm going to fail at points as well, or fail, but like capsize or have something unexpected happen to me, which I just hadn't necessarily accounted for fully. So I just really like the idea of like just trying to push things like that. So I just really like it. Sorry, I went off on one.
No, it's great. No, it's I'm glad that it's seen as I think that barrier that is it's there when we're learning, and the worry of what happens if I don't look good or I don't perform very well, or in a lot of the paddle sport stuff, what happens if I fall in? Well, actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? And if we can remove that barrier, then it opens up so much more to us, because we can then properly explore things and give stuff a go. And we're always going to hold back if we've got that bit of fear. And I understand it, and especially when you're around your peers and stuff, and you don't want to look bad. But removing that barrier is important. But the fact that there are barriers there are a positive thing as well. We shouldn't get rid of them totally. Having those bumps in the road, the things that you have to overcome, they're all part of that learning process, aren't they? So, it doesn't bother me falling off sups, because I know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I think that's definitely a helpful thing when you're trying to develop and learn.
Yeah, nice. I've got another question. Like, I kind of wanted to keep going into this now. Actually, I'm just really like, is that something you consider, like, when you're coaching others? Do you try and think about, are there particular barriers like that fear of failure or fear of foolish? Is that something that you ever try and address?
Yeah, really good question. I don't want to make it all paddle sporty, because I know you have a wide breadth of people who watch, but some of the things are quite transferable. So when you've done some of your coaching courses, you've looked at the TTPP stuff, technical, tactical, psychological, physical, and trying to make sure that that we're touching all areas, and some of those things could be barriers for people, and isolating those things. And I think the psychological one, something that doesn't really get spoken about an awful lot, but it's definitely something that I think about when I'm doing my coaching work, because most of the time when you meet a group, they're either going to be one or two things. There's either going to be anxiety and nerves, or they're going to be super stoked to get out there. And either way, they're probably not really listening 100% to any instructions that you're giving, because they fall into one half of this balance. But yeah, from a helping with that psychological point of view, and that kind of failure, then, or fear of failure, I should say, picking the right sort of venues to work in, and making sure we're doing things that are appropriate and progressive, so we can build them up. And it would be the same if we took a group out into the hills or took a group out climbing, then saying to ourselves, right, rather, let's not get them on the hardest climb, let's get them on something easy to begin with, and we can build it up, and we can see where they're at, or give them choices. When I used to teach PE, then I remember when I did my PGCE, we used to get observed a lot, and I used to do gymnastic sessions, and I first started out, everyone did the same. So they all did the same balances, for example, like partner balances and leaning back and, supporting each other and those things. And then one of my mentors said, he said, well, what happens if you're not challenging people, or you're over challenging people? And I thought, oh, that's a good point. Everyone's being expected to do the same thing here. So I made these little cards, and they were different difficulties. There were like 3 different difficulties to it. So there was an easy one, a medium one, and a really hard one. And then I laid them out in piles, and I said, right, you choose which of these 3 piles you want to have a go at. So pick one, have a go. If it's too hard, well, medium's too hard or hard's too hard, so drop down a level. And if it's too easy, drop up or go up a level. And that seemed to hit a spot, because it meant that everyone was being challenged, and everyone was working hard to do something. And I think you can do exactly the same when we work with groups, giving people options within reason, but giving people options and choice is a really good thing, isn't it, for us as instructors and coaches to be doing it. It empowers our clients and students to want to do more, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that idea as well. It's like the fact that you made cards and stuff to do it as well. That's amazing.
Super keen I was.
So good. Talk to me about the Kayak Essentials then. Because I know that in the past you've made like instructional DVDs and bits like that. But obviously, in the current situation, because they also filmed this, we're in lockdown. Then how's Kayak Essentials been adapting to that?
Good question. We started out in 2008, maybe. Nick and I worked together. I worked for him. He ran an outdoor centre in North Wales, and I left to go and do a PGCE because of the money and the holidays. I took this call for teaching, or I wanted this vocation. No, it was better money, and the holidays were great. And I think I'd say probably over a glass of red, I started coming up with this idea. I said, oh, well, we could make these. I want to make these little videos that I could use on coach ed courses. Kind of, ones back in the day, it was all about technical content. So people who were doing it right and people who were doing it wrong, believe it or not. And I said, oh, we could show these so people could try and figure out which were the right things and which were the wrong things. And then we expanded that a bit more. And before we knew it, I think Nick said, we could make a video out of this. And we were like, yeah, okay. And we bought camera off eBay, and we did all these different things. And I tell you what, talk about learning a process. That was a massive learning, process for us. Just the idea of going out and doing something we didn't know anything about. We had a rough idea, didn't know anything about, didn't know how to deal with sound, and didn't know how to, when we actually had someone who worked with us to help do like the final editing stuff. And when we showed it, and he just shook his head and said, what is going on? There was this high pitched noise in the background, and there were all these like technical points that we hadn't, built into the camera that we hadn't even considered. And we used to do about maybe 10 or 15 takes per thing we did, and then when we'd look back at them as we read it and going, these are all exactly the same. What were we what were we doing? Hours and hours and hours, like tens of hours. And then when we went on to our sea kayaking ones, so we did 2 of those. The process was just like so different because we'd learned all these things from the other one, and we were doing things in one take, and everything was right straight away. So it was a really good example of just developing our own knowledge on that stuff, and it worked, but it could have been a lot better. But that was back in 2008, and then we needed a website for that stuff, and then I think it just evolved. Then we said, oh well, we're both doing our own courses and doing this, that, and the other, and slowly it all came together. And next thing, it's a thing. It's its own entity with courses and events and DVDs, like you say, and all that sort of stuff. Well, downloads now. No one really buys. We've got a stack of DVDs. Nick's got loads in his house. Everyone just keeps buying downloads, and we're like, oh, we've got to get rid of these DVDs at some point. So that was how it started. And then the second part of the question is what are we doing now? Really, lockdown. Yeah. Like probably every single person who's listening to this, watching this right now, is in the same position that we're in, and that's our work is being out there with groups, and that's not there at the moment, and it's proper tough. It's really tough, and I fall into the category that probably a lot of people fall into. I'm not getting any, government subsidies or anything like that. I'm not being like the self-assessment support that's going on, because I was still working at a college. I worked at a college for 5 years, working on a degree program there. So last year and the 2 years previous to that, it was more than 50, all these more than 50% stuff and all that sort of thing. So I'm feeling it like everybody else. It's tough, and for a while, maybe about a year and a half, we've been talking about creating resources that we could package into a platform for members only, like a Netflix for adventure sport coaches, but just not as big as Netflix. It'd be amazing if it was. Oh yeah, you'd be interviewing me from the Bahamas next time. So we
it's gonna make a great clip when it happens. When it finally happens, we'll come back to this clip and we go, yeah, done it. Boom.
Yeah, you can have 1%. And we thought to ourselves, you know what, now's a great time. And we started doing Nick started doing some of these like silly little videos where go and check out our Facebook page and you'll see those. And then we said, right, you know what, now's the time. We're going to start doing it. So we set up this platform and make a bank of resources and videos and articles and podcasts and online meetings and all those sort of things that people can get access to for like the price of a posh coffee a month, sort of things, like £3.60. And it's gone really well, and people are going, oh, this is great. Can more. So it's giving us a reason to produce content, especially when we've got time in our hands to go and do stuff, because we can't do the normal coaching that we want to do, and it's really challenging because we're having to think about stuff that we love to be showing in context or doing in context, but we can't because up until last week couldn't even get out in boats. It's exciting times, really.
Yeah, right. There's it's something which I'm interested in, because I remember like starting off and it's like in the industry, and I wanted to like be able to try and find lots of different information. Like for example, I've worked at a few outdoor centres, and every single one has their own like filler games or like puzzles or riddles. Every single one has like one book which they hand out to every single member of staff, or maybe like a few, even like 3 versions of the same book as well, which they've updated because everyone's like worked or like gone to another centre, and then they would bring ideas back from other places. But no one was sharing it. Like, so like it was really like, it seemed like, I just want, everyone's like kind of, like you say, like keeping it to themselves or sharing.
My precious.
Yes, bizarre thing. So, but it makes a lot of sense, like sharing these ideas and resources. And from when I was looking through the stuff for Kayak Essentials, like you're getting very creative about it as well. I think you're being very smart and intelligent about it all, like doing the live webinars and the members background bits, so you can do like additional chat and talking to things a little bit more. I think that's such a good idea. And hope to get in like a few other people that thinking about other creative ways that they can try and like support their learning at this time as well. I think it's probably a different. It's going to start a lot of digital stuff for a lot of companies, which might have been neglected a little bit in the past. For the outdoor instructor like community or adventure sports community. So yeah, it's an interesting time for that as well.
It is, and who knows when it's all, obviously we could in England, we could get out one-to-one with people, but then there's all sorts of different barriers there, and different concerns and considerations about doing that. And I don't know when it's all going to be back to normal. I just hope people aren't just sat waiting for it all to go back to normal, because it's going to be a long time before it does that. And who knows what that will look like. So we've just got to try and evolve with the times a little bit, I guess, haven't we? And it's tough. It's super. It's really. When I heard about this December, January, I thought, oh yeah, it's just what is all that about? I was listening on the radio and they were talking about potential things that could happen as a result of it, and I was like, oh yeah, scaremongering. It's all happening.
Reality hit hard. I was very similar thought process to yourself. I'm sure many others were as well. But it's just like, oh wow, this is a very different scenario, isn't it? Very different.
Yeah. But hopefully, at some point, it'll be a new normal, but we'll get a normal back, and we can get out there and get doing our thing again with groups, which will be, welcome. It's a pity this didn't happen in September, and then all the way through the winter we've got this going on, and it's going to happen where we're just about to get to go out when it's the time of year that no one wants to go out. But maybe everyone will go, I need my fix. Maybe there'll be a shift in the summer winter split, and there'll be a bit of an evening out possibly. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it's potential, isn't it? I want to talk about a bit about coaching, and this is a bit of a selfish point of view, because I'm wants to work towards the sheltered water coach qualification myself. So probably, it's really simplified, but it's probably a more complex question. So what makes a good coach?
Yeah, good question.
I'm going to write notes so I can take this to my assessment when it happens.
Right. And this is my opinion, this is not endorsed by any governing body, but I think there are three things that make a good coach, and they are that you need to have a good imagination, so you need to be able to kind of think on your feet, and good imagination. You need to be able to be good at observing, and as a result analysing. That comes together, and you need to be able to ask good questions. I think if you can do those three things, coaching's pretty easy. Massively generalizing now, but if we can see stuff and we can talk to people about it, ask them questions, and then think of things that we can do to help and support that person, then I think that makes for a really good coach. I think that ticks all the boxes, really.
I really like that. I really like just having the imagination to trying to think or to be creative about it. I think it opened the doors I'd have thought as well. Or experimentation.
Yeah, and that's the hard bit, I think, the imagination, because it's not, you can't teach someone that. You can't go and do a course and come away going, oh, I've got more imagination. You can come away with maybe some ideas, but then I was on a webinar the other week with Sports Coach UK. In fact, if it's something that people are interested in, Sports Coach UK are doing these free connected coaches events, and you can go onto the Sports Coach UK website and you can get access to these, and they're free, and they happen every single week. So it's maybe I could send you a link and you could put it in the in the description. And it's just another way of getting some more information, isn't it, I guess. But where was I going before I said that? So we were talking about I've forgotten now. I've gone off on a tangent. I need to reel myself back.
Talking about imagination, how you couldn't necessarily teach it, and then how different ideas and tools.
See, it's a good job you're here. It's a good job you're here. The Michael Parkinson of the outdoor world. And I was saying that it's a struggle sometimes, because you see some people who go on coach ed courses, instructor courses, wherever it might be, and they come away going, great, I've got ideas, but I'm going to go and expand, and I'm going to go and develop those ideas and make them my ideas. That's one category. And then you see other people who come in and go, yeah, this is a great idea, I love what he's doing, I'm just going to go and do what they were doing, because that must be the right thing to do, and I'm not going to think for myself a little bit, I'm not going to make them my own, which is fine, but the limitations to that as well. And then there's the third group, and I've had this experience once with a Greek guy who came to do a sea kayak coach ed course, and he said I had an amazing time. It was 4 days. He said, ideas are amazing, I'm really loving it, I can see where it's coming from, but I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing because it seems to work for me. And I said, right, okay. And he said, it's no criticism of you or the course, but with the people I work with, they just want me to tell them what to do, and they get it. And it was a really fresh and honest, little conversation we had about it. But I think you do get three categories of people, and going back to the imagination thing, I think it takes that imagination to go, right, I can see potential in those ideas. Now, how am I going to make them my own? Am I going to make them Matt's ideas, make them Niall's ideas, whatever it might be? And I think, because otherwise you just become a mini me of the person who you spent time with on a course, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think I think the imagination one is a tough one. I think you can learn to some extent the observation and the question, and that comes with experience, as does the imagination as well, I guess. But I think if you can do those three things, you can tackle most problems. Because if you're unsure, you can just ask a question, and then you can think about what that answer is, and then see if you can generate an activity which maybe leads to another question, and so on and so on. So there you go. It's a long-winded way of saying 3 words.
It kind of harks back to before we started recording, we were talking a bit conscious, we hit the ground running, I think, which is great. It just kind of went straight in and started talking. It's a part of me was like, oh man, I wish I was recording this. But we're talking about scripts as well a little bit. If you remember, we talked about how, and I've definitely done this a lot. Just kind of repeating the same things over and over again, just because it works, but it doesn't necessarily lead to discovering new ways, whether that's better or worse. It's going to be about the context of the group and the situation, but it didn't actually open up any new ideas for me. So, in fact, funny story is when I first, for a while, I was on this bit of a mission, so I'm working at an activity centre, and a fairly standardised program, which is great and it works really well. But I ended up on a bit of a mission. It's I'm going to try and find the perfect script in my head, and and I did that for almost a year or so. I was going to run the perfect program or course. And I was But it's only looking back now, it's like I'm not entirely sure that was the best approach. So I'm questioning that. But at the same time, trying to achieve that, I've experimented with a few different ideas as well. Really interesting. I haven't thought about it that much until now, but yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah, I think it's easy, isn't it? I've done it, and I think a lot of people who are new to the game do it because it's a handrail, isn't it? It's something to go with. But like we also talked about before we started, was that we want to ideally be meeting the needs of everybody, don't we? And sometimes if we just stick to a script and what's that phrase? Do what I've always done, get what I always got. Then not saying it's a bad thing, and that having a pattern and a script is a bad thing, but it does limit that flexibility. And maybe we're doing what I did with that gymnastics lesson. We're just going, you're all getting the same, no matter what your individual needs are. Possibly, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too idealistic, but yeah, I think even if you're just thinking about it, even if you just have a moment where you go, is there something I can try that's different? Well, then that's a step in the right direction, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. That's just great to question it all the time, I think. Yeah, it's really cool. I was wondering if we got a bit of time if we could do some quick-fire-ish questions.
Yeah, sure.
So I've asked this to a few people. I just want to see if there's any themes or bits that come up. I'm just really interested in this. So first of all, are you a part of Team Land or Team Water?
I guess it's in the name. I guess I should be part of Team Water. I like both, but team. I'm going to put my flag up for Team Water. Yeah, represent.
I like the hesitation, but I should say this.
It's when someone gets me on a rock skills course or a lowland leader assessment, and they go, "Hang on a minute, you said that you were only interested in water. What are you doing here?" So I've got splinters in my arse because I'm going to sit on the fence. But I'm going to go with Team Water. That's my final answer, Bob.
Cool. All right. So I guess it's kind of on the same theme. Favorite outdoor space to be?
I think it's got to be the coast. I think it's got to be kind of near the sea. Whether that's when we take trips down. My parents live in Plymouth, so we end up down the kind of south coast quite a bit, and we love Cornwall and heading there. And I spend a lot of my time on Anglesey, and I think that it's an amazing place. It's always different. No matter what time of year you go, there's something different going on. And it's the coast. There you go. That gets
variation, isn't that? Brilliant. Okay, so complete this sentence then.
Oh, geez.
Go on. You ready? A good instructor always has.
It comes back to those three before. I think it's an imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great answer. It's so good. That's really got me thinking that answer. So yeah, I'm like, oh man. So that's going to be my week now. Just thinking about that. Well, just obsessing over it.
So much so it all gets squashed in, and your imagination goes out. Well, yeah, and given everything that's going on at the moment, we've got to have an imagination, haven't we? We've got to be able to kind of, think new thoughts and do new things, I guess. So, I think imagination sounds good to me.
Great. So good. All right. Favorite piece of gear or equipment?
Oh.
I think this is the one. Like, I always thought people would be like, found it really hard to answer the land or water question.
And
most people are quite quick about that, or fairly relatively quick. But like this one, I think stumps people the most. I think this question.
I honestly don't think I've got one. I guess, given that we're, given my what's the word I'm looking for now? In fact, I've got no hair. Then I guess come winter time, having a warm hat and Becky, who's my girlfriend, she made me one out of merino wool a couple of years ago, and it's amazing. It's really thin, so it kind of stuffs in everywhere, but it's really warm as well. So there you go. I'm going to say that the hat that she made me is my favourite bit of outdoor gear. Brownie points.
Yeah, you definitely earned so many points. You'll be like showing this video later. Say, hey.
just skip that bit. Just go straight to the end.
Yeah. Cool. And then the last quick fire question. If I wasn't working as a coach or instructor, I would be fill in the blank. So if I wasn't working as a coach,
right.
I'd be.
I don't know whether I want to say this because it's going to go public then, isn't it? I'd love to be in a boy band.
Amazing answer. Yes.
I'd love to be in a boy band. Yeah. So yeah, that I'd love to be a stand-up comic as well, but that isn't going to happen. Not that a boy band's going to happen either, to be fair. But yeah, there you go. Something in entertainment. Yeah.
Strong answer. This is so good. So good. Like you're the third person that I've actually properly been able to prep. Like, so got a bit more experience now. Like it's like actually be able to go like prep people and go, oh, you might want to think if you want to ask a question to the Instructor 101 audience. So yeah, do you want to fire away if you got it?
Yeah. In 1980, no. I think my question is, what are you all doing right now to prepare yourself so that when the time comes where we can get out and get working with groups again, that we're ready to go? Because it could be, what's it going to be? Maybe 6 months. Even if it happens short term, it could be 6 months. It could be a year before we can properly do all these things. So what's everyone doing to keep themselves current and to prepare themselves for when that time comes that we get out with groups? You know, how are we going about doing that? That's my question to you guys.
Great question. Yeah, and really, really thought-provoking. So I'd be really interested to hear people's answers to that as well and see what responses that we get to that. Awesome. Matt, thank you so much for this chat, mate. I've properly enjoyed this. No,
it's been brilliant. Awesome. Thanks for having me. And like I said to you at the start, you know, keep doing what you're doing, because there's a lot of people out there who are you know, watching the other stuff that you do, and it's giving them ideas, and it's, you know, especially during this time, it's keeping them going, it's keeping them ticking over. So keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Obviously, we're I don't know how to finish this now. I'm like, oh thanks. Yeah, so I guess standard YouTube finish. But yeah, so please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check out social media for Matt as well. For sure, I'd really appreciate it. Again, I'll make sure there's lots of links everywhere. That would greatly appreciate it as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, thanks again, Matt. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, Niall. See you later.
Cheers. Success.
Cool. That was brilliant. I enjoyed that.
Oh, mate, that was good fun.
As I'm sure you can tell, I really enjoyed that Outdoor Instructor Chat. I think my face was hurting from smiling that much all the way through. Once again, a huge thanks to Matt for taking part. And if you're interested in taking part in Outdoor Instructor Chat yourself, then feel free, just drop me a message. I'm sure we can arrange something. As you already know, you know the score. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, which is a 101 logo that's floating somewhere around my head, and check out some of the other videos. But as always, thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, until next time, take care, stay safe.